I tried to play a 4K 96 FPS video on Plex without and with hardware transcoding, and the impact on CPU usage was mind-blowing. So let's see how to set up Plex on Docker with hardware transcoding so you can stop hurting your CPU. Hey there Geek Army, Anand here. I have shown you how to set up Docker on Proxmox LXC, and then we built an awesome Docker-based home server. We did a bunch of other things, and then recently I showed you how to pass through a graphics node from Proxmox host machine into an LXC container. If you're a beginner and you're interested in these stuff, then take a look at the playlist in the description below. It will show you the entire process. Now, we're ready to take that next level up. What's missing in our setup is a media server. Let's start with Plex, but if you prefer Jellyfin, let me know in the comment section and I will cover that in a future video. Maybe also let us know why you prefer Jellyfin over Plex. First, just a quick note about hardware transcoding, why it is important. In simple terms, if your Plex client, which are the devices that you actually watch your media on, do not support a format, then the Plex server has to convert it into a different format, and this is called transcoding. This can be done on a CPU or on the GPU. Graphics cards are better suited to handle this, including the integrated graphics cards that come standard in many mini PCs, including the one that I use, and I talked about it in my home lab tour video. Plex is a hit or miss with support for AMD graphics cards, which is why I went with a mini PC with Intel processor that has an integrated Iris Xe graphics card with QuickSync support. It even supports the AV1 codec. So like this video, subscribe to my channel and smash the notification bell so you can stay updated. YouTube takes about 45% cut on all the revenue, which is crazy. And if you use Apple Pay, they take another 30%, which is why I have my own membership platform, which gives you many more benefits, more so than YouTube. Check it out if you want to support my work. Some memberships include a deployer license as well, which is a tool that can automate everything that we are going to be doing in today's video. Okay, let's move on. Let's set up Plex on Docker with hardware transcoding support on a Proxmox unprivileged LXC container. Passing through the graphics node from Proxmox host to an LXC container is way easier, which is one reason why I prefer LXC over a virtual machine for my home server. Okay, enough talking. Let's get started. As always, here I am on my Proxmox web interface. You can see the Intel 13th generation processor that I am using. It supports Intel Iris Xe graphics, which is what we're going to be using today in this LXC container number 800 UDMS. That's what I have been developing throughout the course of all of my videos. If you haven't watched those, I'll put a link in the description below. Please go back and watch the previous video, especially the one on Docker, which is going to come in handy today. It's important that you understand some of the basics before we move forward. So I highly recommend that one. Okay, moving on. So if I go into my Mobax term, which is the SSH client I like to use because there is an SFTP browser right on the left right here, so I can create files, move around and do a bunch of different things. So this is what we're going to be using today. So if I go into my Docker folder and compose folder and into the UDMS folder, which is how I like to organize things, you're going to see all the different services that we had created previously in my videos. They all have their own compose files, and then we have a master Docker compose file right here, which is going to pull in all those individual compose files into one. That's how I do it. So we're going to go into the compose folder and we're going to create the Plex Docker compose right here. Now, where do we get the compose file from? This is where my GitHub repository can come in handy. If you're not familiar with my GitHub repository, here it is. It's been started by over 2,700 people, so check it out. It's my real setup, not just some templates. It's exactly what I use at my home and web server and many other places. They all are combined together and pushed into this repository. So we're gonna go into the compose folder right here, and Plex runs on my media server. So that is MDS, Media Database Server. I'm gonna go into that, and you're going to see all the services that I am running today on my media server. Of course, some of them are older. I see here there's Plex Meta Manager, which is not valid anymore. I believe it's called Cometa. right now, so I'm still in the process of updating some stuff. Anyway, Plex right here. So you can use this, or you can use my Plex Docker Compose guide, which is something that we will be using today, or the video is based on this guide. So you're welcome to follow the guide if that's the format that you prefer. Okay, moving on, I'm going to copy all of this stuff from right here and head over to Mobaxterm. We're going to create a new file that's going to be called plex.yml. And I'm going to edit this and paste that stuff, and we're going to start customizing it. So we're using the Plex pass image of Docker from Plex. Now, all the options that are in here, they are described in Plex's GitHub repository right here. The Docker image is right here. All the things that you can customize can be seen right here. They're explained right here. So I won't go into all of the details here. I will put a link to this as well in the description below. So let's head back over to this. And you can see we're going to call this container Plex. We're going to attach Plex to the default network. You can ignore the rest. And these are just some security things nice to have. I'm setting restart to no, but you can set it to yes. I have a reason to set it to no, but I won't go into that in this video. And I'm gonna comment out the profiles part, which I've not used in any of my videos. With that and the restart policy set to no, I have some automation set up. When my remote mounted, script kicks in and automatically starts Plex for me. So that's the automation that I'm talking about. I won't cover that in here. So I'm going to set the restart policy to yes. And right here, we're passing the graphics device node from the LXC container into the Plex container /dev/DRI. So we have to make sure that there is /dev/DRI folder on the Docker host. So let's do that right now. So we're going to go here. We're going to go to /dev and DRI. Yes, it is available. So if I go in here, I'm going to see all the graphics cards and all of that stuff. These things were passed from the Proxmox host machine into the LXC container. Once again, if you don't have this, then watch my previous video or one of my previous videos that explains how to pass through the graphics node from the Proxmox host machine into the LXC container. So in this case, we have it and we're ready to go. So we're going to pass it through just like that. We do need several ports for Plex to work properly, so they have to be free on the Docker host. This port right here, 33400, we don't need it. I was playing around with some stuff, so I'm going to delete that one. And then we have some folders. So we have the app data folder, which will have all of Plex's data. This folder is going to grow bigger and bigger and bigger as you add more stuff, so watch out for that. And then we have the media folder. In my case, there are two different folders with media. And then I'm gonna just delete out the stuff that I do not need. I'm also passing through my downloads folder, which I don't think is needed, so I'm gonna delete this. And then lastly, we're passing through /dev/shm to a folder called /data/transcode. This is the RAM from the Docker host right here that we are passing through or mounting inside the Plex container in this location. So this will be the location of your transcode folder when you start configuring Plex. Next, we're going to look into environment variables. Nothing really fancy here. Call your Plex whatever you want. We are passing through the Plex claim token as a Docker secret. If you do not know what a Plex claim token is, there is a full article on it on Plex's website and how you can get the Plex claim token. So get that and keep it handy because we're going to need that one. Okay, so right here, and then we are passing through the user ID and group ID of the user that will be running Plex. Normally, this is going to be the normal user, not the root user. And then we have advertised IPs. I have a bunch of different things listed here. I don't need to list all of this stuff. So I do know my server's IP address is 192.168.1.187 and 32400. I'm also passing through my 0-tier IP, which is a nice to have because if you don't like traffic or Nginx reverse proxy or those kind of reverse proxies, you prefer VPNing into your home network to access different things, 0-tier is something that I use for similar purposes. And you can even make your Plex instance available via zero tier IP, so you have access to it on the go. So if you want to do that, you can do that. My zero tier IP is 10.187. It's on a different subnet, and we're going to delete the rest. Now, if you have traffic or something else running, you can also make it available through a fully qualified domain name, but we're not going to do that today. So let's just put those two IPs right there. And allowed networks are the IP ranges that are on your local network. This way, then if you prefer to not have authentication for local connections, then you can make that happen. So we will have to define that variable here. Where do you get that variable from, or how do you set that variable? So if you go back to my Docker traffic GitHub repository, here I have a .env example file, and you can scroll down through and you will see what that variable is set to. This is exactly what we're going to do as well. Okay, so I think that's the basic explanation of the compose file. So let's create the Plex claim token and the local IP. So I'm going to start with this one first. So I will copy that. I'm going to go into my Docker folder, cd docker, and sudo nano.env, type in my password. There you go, I have it. In fact, you know what? I actually have it defined right here, so I don't need to do that right now. So just copy paste, just like what you see on the screen, and save the file and exit it. Okay, so we create the local IPs, so that's good to go. Next, we'll need to create the Plex claim token. I'm going to assume that you've already followed the article that I just showed right here. You will find the link in the description below. Once you have the token, we're going to create the secret right now. So I will have to elevate myself to the root user. So sudo su and go to the secrets folder. I'm going to and see what else is there. I don't see a Plex claim token, so I'm going to call this nano Plex claim token. You can call it whatever you want, it really does not matter. And I'm going to type in my token here. It's not really my token, it's just some stuff. So I'm going to save this. So we created that. You will have to obviously paste your own token right there. So now that part is done. So we'll have to now open up the master Docker compose file. So we're going to go back to the Docker folder, edit my master Docker compose file, which is now open right here. You can see that I use the include statement to bring all the other Docker compose files into this master file. So we're going to do the same thing here. You can see I already have Jellyfin. So I am going to add another one right here and call this one Plex. Now we have called that Plex Docker compose into the master file. We still need to create the token, so I'm going to do that right now. So copy paste that. We called it Plex claim token. We're going to call the exact same thing here, and this would be the same as well. It's located in the Docker folder, in the secrets folder, and then it's called Plex claim token. So all of this is done. Now let's save this. We created the Plex Docker compose file. We are ready to start and test to see if it works. I'm going to exit out of being a root and let's start the whole stack and see how it goes. Okay, so we could use the long sudo docker compose -f and path to the Docker compose file and Docker compose. This is how it goes, up -d. We could do that, or we're going to be using my bash aliases, which help me simplify a lot of Docker and Linux commands. So if you do not know what I'm talking about, take a look at the link in the description below. It makes things so much more easier. So we're going to do dc up, however you want to say it. Docker compose up is going to up the whole stack. In this case, you can see that all of them are already up. For some reason, Plex didn't start, so we're going to check why that was. Did I actually save the file? No, actually, I didn't save this file, so this is why it didn't start. So I'm going to save this file right now. So it's asking me to save it. Then I'm going to rerun this command, and Plex should start. Okay, there's an error. We can see that we named the secret wrongly. It should be Plex claim because that's how we are referring to it here. So we'll have to make some changes. So I'm going to go over to my Docker compose file and just call this Plex claim and save this one, and then go over to my secrets folder, and move the Plex claim token to just Plex underscore claim, exit out of being root. And now I'm going to do DC up and hopefully it starts. Usually I like to follow the logs just to make sure that everything starts back okay. So I'm going to do DC logs, which is again sudo docker compose logs and the name of the container itself, or a short form like that, DC logs, Plex, and let's see now what happens. Okay, another mistake. I think I left it out another place. Let's see here, right here. Okay, so I was just trying to be too fast. And I need to change that one too. Now, this is it, third time's a charm. So we're gonna do that right now. DC up. There you go. Now it works. So these are just the little things that happen when you are developing a Docker-based home server. Little things here and there can throw you off. So it was nice for you to see those errors in real time. Same way, response restart policy unknown is not. Another one I should have known. So we set the restart policy to yes. I don't know why. I probably just changed no to yes. That's not how it should be. It's normally unless stopped or always is the way to go. So we're gonna save that. Hopefully this is it. Let's see. So DC up, and we're gonna rerun the command again. I think it should be okay this time. Let's see here. There you go. Plex is downloading and it's going to unpack and set it up. Once it's done, we're going to open the web interface, and I probably will not go through the configuration right now because I guess it's easy. Okay, it's done. Let's open Plex web interface. I'm going to use my Chrome window, Google Chrome, and go to 192.168.1.187 and 32.400-web or //web. You have to add that or you're going to see a bunch of different things that you don't recognize. So here we are on our Plex server. It's ready to go. I'm not going to go through the configuration part. We have it. Now, what I will show you is that if I exit out of the logs here and go into dexec or sudo docker exec is the full command, dexec plex /bin/bash. Now I'm inside the container. So if I go to /dev and DRI, I'm going to see all the Docker graphics, or I'm going to see the graphics node that I just passed through right here. This is what we're going to use. Okay, so right now, this is how I set up my Plex server. I'm going to switch over to my actual Plex server, show you the hardware transcoding part, and we're going to play with some videos and test how they work. So hang on tight. Okay, so here I have two windows side by side so you can see how it all works. I'm here on the transcoder part of my Plex server. You can see a bunch of different options. Right here I have hardware acceleration enabled, and I have chosen the Iris XC graphics card that we just passed through. So we're gonna first actually disable these two options, save it, and then I'm gonna head over to my demo videos and we're gonna pick one of those and run it and see the effect in real time on the CPU and the bandwidth right here. Okay, so we're gonna do that right now. Okay, so here I have some of the demo videos. We'll pick a really a big one. Let's say here I have 4K 96 FPS video right here. I'm gonna play it. Sometimes it doesn't even play and it hurts the CPU so much that it stutters and buffers and all of that stuff. Here you can see it even struggled to get started first. So after that it plays okay for the most part here, but you can see on the right side the bandwidth spiking up and the CPU is all the way up to 60%, and this is just one video. Imagine you have two people streaming from the server, it's going to hurt your CPU. Okay, so I'm going to stop this video right now and we're going to head over to the transcoder page again, and I am going to enable hardware acceleration when available and make a change. I'm also enabling this option right here, save change. One thing I forgot to tell you is notice that we have the transcode folder set to /data/transcode, which is how we have it in our Docker Compose file. That's your RAM. That's where transcoding happens. That's faster than using a disk. So use your RAM, if you have RAM available or extra RAM available. In my case, I have 64 gigabytes, so I am passing through, I think, 24 gigabytes to my media server, so there's enough RAM for transcoding. Okay, so we changed that server. We're going to do the same thing again and see the effect real time. So once again, I'm on the same folder, so we're going to start the same video again. This time hardware transcoding should kick in. Let's see what happens right here. Okay, it's playing right now. You can see that right here it says transcoding is done through the hardware HW right there. Here you can see the bandwidth went back to almost the same level as before, but look at the CPU right here. It is barely breaking a sweat. This is what hardware transcoding can do. It can take something that's really small, a mini PC, and make it very powerful as a media server. And that's how I've been doing it. And this is exactly how it works. Okay, that was it. We now have a Plex media server with hardware transcoding enabled. It's using Intel QuickSync, and it's barely breaking a sweat while playing a 4K video at 96 frames per second. So I really hope you liked this video, and it showed you how to set up Plex on Docker in a Proxmox LXC environment. The process is pretty much the same if you have a bare bones system, or a virtual machine if you have the graphics card passed through already. But once again, I hope this video helps you set up a Plex media server with hardware transcoding in a Docker environment. If you liked the video, then hit that notification bell so you know when that next video comes out. Also, please consider subscribing to my channel. More importantly, consider becoming a member on my website so you can enable me to make more and more such videos. So that's it for today. Thank you for staying this long. Go Geek Army.